Yeah. Woo. I'm not going to hit a PB on this at all. My apologies for anybody who just tuned into the live stream that didn't work. I really should give up on live streaming. If it's not my pairing not working at all, it's OBS. So as soon as I hit go just before, I switched screens to go live and OBS locked up. Welcome to 2022 and technology that is suboptimal. Anyway, hope everyone is well. I am off for an endurance ride tonight. It is late. I'm starting off on the mountain bike course though, hence me gripping the bars tightly. I'll be joining the Cadence bunch in a moment. Again, apologies for that stutter of the stream startup. See, there is auto braking on Zwift. It's only on the mountain bike course. I'm on the Elite Riser at the moment. Putting out next to no power at all while I try and focus on the steering. Alrighty. That stream looks to be very jerky. Let me know the quality of the stream. I'm getting no drop frames here, but the replay I was just looking at on the other screen is looking bad. It's peak Netflix time, I guess, here in Australia. It's like 9:15 on a Saturday night. If the stream doesn't look any good, I'll drop it off. I've been riding for 11 minutes. So I was testing everything. But okay, let's get all the pairing working first. Let's get all the OBS stuff working first. Let's make sure everything works perfectly before we stream. Hit go and it dies. Thanks, Simon. Good to hear that it's actually working. Such hokey technology. And I'm talking about the bike stuff, just the whole streaming side of things. Oh, dude, that's the fence. He's on a road bike. I think it's the first time I've seen another rider on here for a very long time. So yeah, it's late Saturday night. I'm cramming in some Ks while I can. Mrs. Lama's away at a bike camp or a bike event. So I've got Maxi, which means no riding during the day. So we'll see if we can do some extra Ks at night. Welcome along, Europe. Good morning or good afternoon. Probably afternoon there by now, isn't it? Must be close. Floors, welcome along. Oh, so an endurance ride that starts off with a bit of up and down on the riser. I'm on my road bike too. I don't really have the gearing for this. So if anyone wants to know what a riser or a climb does for you, it prompts you to get out of the saddle a lot rather than just grind through the gears and stay seated. But as soon as the bike kicks up, your natural reaction is to jump up out of the saddle. Are we there yet? Pairing wise on Zwift, I have given in to what I've resisted for so long. What I resisted for probably 6 years. Oh, I probably haven't had it for 6 years. I'm pairing everything via the companion app. Direct to Windows 10. It'd work a little bit. It wouldn't. It'd work. It wouldn't. Ant Plus. It's good, but I get better responsiveness out of Bluetooth. So I always wanted to use Bluetooth. And in the last few months, Bluetooth to Windows has just been a dog's breakfast. So I'm pairing everything via the companion app, and it just works. It just goddamn works. It auto pairs everything at the start, and it's nice and responsive, as we can see here. My steering. If it was too laggy, I'd be oversteering and understeering. It just works. I don't think it's the solution though. I don't like having to have a phone to do the task of what my PC should do and can do. I'd like to really keep it simple. The Wi-Fi I've got set up here is pretty solid. So that's why the phone works so well. It's an old iPhone 6. It just works. Oh, come on, now Zwift's giving me some shade. God, it was the crit last night for... and now it's this. It's some here. I think it's... I think the karma gods are telling me to get the hell outdoors again. That's going to happen this week. We're up to 26 here tomorrow, Celsius, 31 on Monday. Got some outdoor rides to do. It's going to be on. If Bluetooth keeps dropping out, are you using Bluetooth headphones? I've got to look more into this, but I think Bluetooth headphones use a ton of Bluetooth bandwidth. Probably more than any other device. To get good quality audio. And that might blat out other Bluetooth devices. Cricket season indeed. Let's not mention the Ashes. Well, we can because I'm an Aussie. Oh, what is this? That's right, I've got to steer too. This is Repack Ridge, the mountain bike course which they really need to expand out into a loop or a mountain bike park, because it's... I'm toast. It's heaps of fun, but you've got to ride a road bike to get here, and once you've had your fun, you get put back out on the road. I definitely need more gears. Holy hell. Whew. Sam, I've got flat bars and the mountain bike shifter for the Stages bike and some mountain bike grips. However, it doesn't steer. I'll still put them on that bike one day though. 15%. Oh, okay. So once we're over the top here, I'm going to go find the Cadence bunch. And we'll just knock out an hour or two. I thought this would be a good warm-up. And also another chance to put the riser through its paces. This is where it shines. This is where the Elite riser shines. I'm out of the saddle and steering and getting put in the 15% hurt box. 25. You can't, you've got to do Repack Ridge with some kind of steering. Either the companion app strapped to your handlebars, or the Stetozo Smart, or the Eraser. This is never ending. There's my handlebars. Welcome to the stream. Got a shiny bowling ball head. This is nuts. Good question about the gravel routes. I was talking to a few friends today. I'd love to see on Zwift some longer perimeter routes, maybe. Wouldn't take them much. Just put some single trail for the perimeter of the desert. You don't need to put any races or anything on them. Just have it like this. Whoa, that's a bad camera angle. 7 out of 10. All right, let's go find the Cadence bunch. There's a warm-up and a half. Yeah, so the riser on that, paired via the companion app, that's working well, nice and responsive. And I'd love them to do a lot more with that. You can see, I wasn't after a workout there. I just wanted to ride that. So that's hard. That's hard stuff. So the terrain dictated the effort. So if they had a loop, a mountain bike park loop, a cross-country mountain bike, they need to just do a little bit more. I mean, come on, it can't fail any harder than boost mode. Woo! The XR, the Edoretto XR, the R stands for riser. That's the only one that is officially compatible. If people want to put the riser on a trainer that doesn't tilt properly, okay. Wouldn't recommend it. The C Cadence bunch was huge before. When it came past, I was dropping a ton of ride-ons. Oh man, I am done after that. Where's my... There's the power graph and my heart rate graph. It's just off, on, off, on, off, on. Tobin, have a look at my rally video on exactly that. I call it residual torque. I had exactly that occurring. Might have been under though. Either way, that's... You've just read the playbook that I encountered out on the road. Isn't happening though with the XC200s and the new firmware. On the red cranks, I think I'm running those on. No, I wouldn't use any rising device with the Tax Neo, no. The Tax Neo does not have rotating rear drops. And what you need to watch for is that those rear drops can have a little bit of, I was going to say teething, it's not the word. The interface has some texture to it. And the last thing you want to be doing is grinding up and down on those. There's no... The thing with the rises and the climbs, there's no standard, there's no industry standard. It's not an axle standard it has to support. It's not... So there's a mix of things that will work and won't work out there. I can only stick to what's official. As soon as I say, yeah, sure, run it, and someone goes and breaks their bike, shit, I get served court papers for putting a logo on a t-shirt. Last thing I need to get myself into is more shit like that with someone breaking a bike. So I straight down the line. I'm happy to tell you how to hack your Zwift prefs and put some different mountain bike pedals on your Faveros. It's all over. As soon as I went to, and I don't want to talk about it too much, it's done. As soon as I went to social media, surprise, surprise, they pulled their heads in, and we're done. And as I explained on that video, that's what YouTubers do. Paid the bills. That video did pretty well. Training difficulty, it's on 100%. I hope so, because I was in the box. Dang. Dang. Yeah, I didn't, there was no call to action in my video, just to be clear on that. There was no call to action from me. There was no GoFundMe, there was no I'm crying poor, there was nothing. No, there was just to hear the facts. Isn't this shit? That's all the video was. Yeah. Funnily enough, it did become a bargaining chip for me. When I told them they were coming to me asking me to tell people to back off. I didn't tell people to back on. Anyhow, that's done. We're good. We're back on bikes now. I'm back to work. Miller187, what's going on? I'm hunting the Cadence bunch. You can see a few rolling through. I'd rather Coco, and we call it Coco, stick to the flat routes. Because up and down here sucks, especially the down part. And you'll see that. Here we go. Okay, we can't be too far off. There we go. Yep. Quick, go. Nailed it. You'll see the split. Up the hill, everyone will take off. Down the hill, Coco will just steamroll through everyone. Still holding the same watts per kilo, but with the pack dynamics and the way people push against more resistance up a hill, it causes problems. My drone is fine now. It dried out and continued to work flawlessly. Members, I put up a little video for channel members, a bit of behind the scenes of what actually happened there. Most of it was my own fault. Huge bunch. Huge. Look at this. My word. And here's where pack dynamics looks a lot better than what it used to. I mean, it's still a complete jungle of jerseys and there's a few people overlapping wheels, but as opposed to what it was before with people just shooting everywhere, this looks cool. I like it. TV guy, I've used just an iPhone for my OBS phone insert that you see here. Oh good, OBS didn't lock up when I switched, like it did when I started this stream today. That's an iPhone with a HDMI cable, lightning cable. I haven't tried to insert an Android phone. I have one right here, Galaxy S8. I ended up going to buy an Android phone because a lot of companies making software, either pre-release or beta, some of them would only do Android. As well before test flight changed its policy or something. Test flight usually works pretty well these days. Sorry if I've missed your question or comment. Feel free to ask again or hound me in the chat. I shan't be going too hard from here on in. And I love a chat. I really do. I can talk about this stuff all day and all night long. I might put up only 5-minute videos or short Zwift tip videos, but I can still talk about this stuff non-stop. Power meters on the bike tonight. Dorito XR from Elite. He's the trainer. Asioma Duos. Tried and trusted. And Sugai Axo on the Shimano setup with the Aldo cranks. So a setup that I've reviewed and already tested, but while I swallow a fly whilst I'm here and have the data, switch on all 3 head units, we collect the data, put it into the database. I think I'm up to, it's around 250 data sets a year that I'm looking at. It's going to be more this year, a lot more this year. Jared, I hesitate to recommend anything because everything will fail. The one thing I will recommend is the Varia radar. Game changing for the rides that I do. Love the radar. Power meter, that depends. I'm still having some issues with the rallies. But I'm at a point now where I can, that'd be fine for most people. I'm getting really, really deep into the weeds. So much so that I've come up again. Here's an interesting one for people who like story time with Lama and power meters. Though I should talk about gates. If you saw my Instagram this week, people like pictures of gates. Power meters, not so much. Back onto the rallies. So I've tested them for about 2 weeks with the new firmware. The Rally XCs on the gravel bike. Up against the Quark axis meter, which I trust. Things are going really well, like things were perfect indoors, plus or minus a few watts, yep, cool. Outdoors for my 3-hour rides outdoors, rallies were great, except one day, after my coffee stop, the left-right balance was off. But okay, swipe the screen and keep riding home. I had a look at the data, something happened at my coffee stop that changed the pedals, changed the reading. I couldn't understand it. It was a very special gate. You know what I'm talking about. So So I was ready to do my video on the XC pedals saying, hey, look, they're great. Then something popped up with the left-right was thrown off. Long story short, what had happened was, and I've posted this over on Twitter, I've posted this to Garmin, and I've verified this by doing it again. Haven't yet heard back from Garmin, but we'll see. And I'm also willing to accept that this is just, yeah, this is kind of what's going to happen. At the coffee shop, well, where I sit down for my coffee, bike is upright, up against the wall, leaned up against the handlebars and the saddle. Here's where Cadence flies. Ugh. And my bike was upright for 10 minutes, stationary. Can anyone guess what happens within those 10 minutes? When one pedal is in the hot Aussie summer sun, one pedal's in the shade, and the pedals are stationary for more than 4 minutes. Oh, I'm getting dropped. What happens is, Tobin nails it. The pedals auto zero just before they go to sleep, which is cool. Yeah, so Tobin, you know where this story's going. It's pretty interesting. I can't really... I'm on the fence whether calling it a fault or not. So, the scenario was, bike was in the sun, one pedal got really hot in the sun, one pedal was cooler. Now, active temperature compensation should take care of that. But what happened was, one pedal auto zeroed. So before they go to sleep, they auto zero, because you can't auto zero a pedal when you're clipped into it. One of the downsides of pedal-based power meters, as opposed to Spider. So they active temp can only go so far, exactly. So this is probably a 10 degree different, maybe a 20 degree different. I haven't measured it. I should actually, because I replicated it the next day, and the same thing happened. So one pedal was hot, one pedal was cold. They auto zeroed before they went to sleep. I had my coffee. I jumped on and kept riding. Now with the auto zero, that becomes the source of truth. So when the pedal cooled down and I rode on, the active temperature compensation probably took it back to the wrongly calibrated temperature setting. Or it couldn't adjust for the big swing. So the left pedal was reading low. So, is it a fault of the meter? Not really. I think it's just something to be aware of if you run those kind of power meters. Potentially could happen to all pedal-based power meters. Let's say you're a triathlete, at a triathlon. You rack your bike before the event, sun's coming in, belting in one side, bike goes to sleep with your pedals at 2 different temperatures. You jump on and ride, temperature stabilizes, but that auto cal is gone. That could be a problem. Something to be aware of. Replicated it the next day, but the difference being that 25 minutes after I took off from my coffee halfway in the forest home, I did a manual zero and everything was fine again, as you'd expect. Temperature stabilize, zero flattens, everything is okay. Pedal warmers. I was thinking of a pedal hat. Anyway, interesting one, but that's how far down the rabbit hole I'm with this stuff. It doesn't really matter. It's sort of... If you put a tape measure in the sun, I'm sure it would also measure differently too. If you put a set of scales in the sun, it will also measure probably a little different. We're asking a lot of these things, but I thought that was interesting. It is very late. It is very late. 20 to 10. Von's away, so it's Max and I this weekend. My pedal-based power meter emulated a Shimano-based power meter. Hey, look, if I could time it right, I could actually have that Shimano power meter read correctly by putting one pedal in the sun. Kind of like the introduction scene to The Fifth Element. Is it Fifth Element? Someone correct me. More light, Aziz. More light. More light. Then the aliens come down. Is that Fifth Element? Do I enjoy the cricket? Do I enjoy the cricket? When the Aussies are winning, we do. I caught some of it, not a lot though. I won't stick it in too hard. I know there's a lot of people from England watching. So there we go for the next test. Wait, is the next test the Boxing Day test? Has to be. There can't be one between now and then, is there? Ballarat. Hey, it's 26 tomorrow in Ballarat. It's going to be a nice day. 31 on Monday. As a runner moving to a long-distance triathlon, must do workouts to build endurance and strength for riding. I'm no coach. That's a good one for a coach. To get the correct answer, you need to talk to a coach who looks at your previous history, your training load, your response to training, and that's huge. Some people can get away with doing not much training at all. Some people need to train the house down to move the needle. So it really depends on the individual. But just do what you want to be good at. That's really as simple as it gets. Look at the demands of the course or the discipline you want to do. If it's a time trial, there's no use doing hill climbs or criteriums or sprints if you're a time trialist. Although they can help. Got some ride-ons. Let's not get involved in the chat. In-game didn't help me last night. I'm glad you enjoyed my story about putting my bike in the sun. So Garmin are across it. And it might be just that's of course that's what's going to happen. I just thought it was very interesting. The next 3-hour ride, I did the same. As I said, I auto-zeroed halfway home. Everything was fine. The next day or the next few days after that, similar ride again. Didn't put the bike in the sun. Numbers were great. I was really happy with the numbers that I'm seeing from the Rally XC200s up against the Quark. So that'll all be part of the long-term review I put out. Although, to be honest, my power meter reviews don't do too well for views. I need to get sued more often. Those views do well. But it's more about putting the library of content out there that'll sit around for years rather than clickbait bullshit. So I hope people appreciate even the low view videos that I do. Including the one on the Yasioma Cleat selection. Exactly. In addition to that video. The look style pedals, or the look style cleats, and the look cleats appear to fit differently based on the shoe that you have. Now I wasn't across this at the time because I only run 43s or 44s, which are all pretty much the same on the bottom. People with smaller shoes or bigger shoes were saying the cleats deform a little differently when they're bolted down to the shoe. And that's something I've never ever heard of with Shimano cleats. At all, ever. Oh, I better put a cheers there. Someone's been nice. Cheers. So I've never heard of a Shimano blue or red or yellow deforming when you put on the shoe, but something to be aware of with the look style cleats. Orica trainers, yes, my door is open to the Orica trainer people. People keep tagging me. People want me to test their trainers out. Orica are in Spain, and they won't ship anything here to Australia. They keep inviting me to Spain to try things out. I can't even cross a freaking state border at the moment without submitting my firstborn and a sperm sample, so there's no chance I'm going to travel overseas anytime soon. So I've a whole lineup of trainers out here the companies have sent over that I've got to get through. Orica are offered the same service as everybody else. Balls in their court. Happy to look at them. Oh, this is so much better than running that mountain bike course. Effort-wise, that is. Yeah, me too. I'm keen to check out anything new. I'm all about poking and prodding and finding out what experience has changed. The riser that I'm on now for the steering and the ups and downs. I've ridden all the rocker plates I can get a hold of. They're not my cup of tea, but I'm across them. I respect that some people like them. That's cool. Yeah, I think you'd agree. And by you, I mean 140 people watching that I can see on the stream. There was a really big upswing when the kicker came along. The CompuTrainer was around for a while. The kicker came along and changed the game. The kicker clones came along. We haven't seen much from there. In respect to, so there's trainers that sway a little bit, there's rocker plates, nothing has really changed the game. I haven't reviewed the Karoo 2, no. I have one if you have any questions. I use it quite often. It's something and what you won't see in other reviews, it's something that I can't use a lot of because it doesn't record a lot of data. So if I'm using my Axis bike, SRAM Axis gravel bike, it won't record the gear changes and won't record the tyre whiz data, which is really weird. It'll display gearing on the screen. It won't even pair to the tyre whiz. So something to be aware of. The depths of the configuration options on some of the other units are huge. A good example of that would be the mapping option that I looked into on the Garmin's. No, it's out of reach. About when you zoom out, you can still show all the details. Garmin have got a bucket load of options to go through there. They're very poorly documented, which is what I exploit to make videos on so I can get money from YouTube. That works. And to help people out. But that was one of the things where I was writing like, I wish it did this. Dive, deep, and there's the setting right there. The Karoo doesn't have that. Dorito XR trainer I'm on at the moment. You're lifting the sleds on the MP1. Yeah, sprint-wise, the SB20, being able to grab those gears, grab the brakes, and sprint, that thing is just a monster. It's like the old watt bikes that people sprint on, or the basic watt bikes. I ride indoors in a jersey, purely for the live stream. If I'm not live streaming, it's tops off. But out of respect for the viewers, and me trying not to be a cam whore. Try not to be. I don't have... Hang on. I do have a hot tub. Look out! Splish splish. Shout outs to people watching on Twitch. That's all good. And I do appreciate the chat, people. It keeps me occupied, keeps me smiling and laughing. There's a lot of shit that doesn't in this world. But jumping on and catching up with everybody in real time is a lot of fun. Many people on YouTube ask for a video on chain sizing, small to small. Why only one video on GCN shows this? So GCN don't have a video, a chain sponsor, obviously. Not the expert in chain sizing. I just do mine as per spec. Lex, 100%. 100% or go home. Or change it to whatever you like. It doesn't matter. It's fine. GCN have their place. It's all good. No, working at GCN would not be the best. I can guarantee you it would not be. And here, you want to know why? You'd be stuck on riding an Orica bike. You can't use any Garmin devices. Have a close look. Have a close look at the agreements and things that are in place there. It's a money. They're a commercial organisation. That's fine. So am I. I make money off YouTube. I have a little bit more freedom though than GCN. It's entertainment. I respect what they do. But when you're that tied in, like in a pro team, was it Team DSM? Have a read up at the couple of posts on Team DSM lately about, they get sort of spoken to if they don't wear their cap or their arm warmers or all that kind of stuff. What I'm looking for is just still the best hardware. What's out there? What can we buy off the shelf? Or what can we source that works? I'm really, really impressed with the power meters coming out of China. But I wouldn't move the needle too much with what I do. And again, it's all about money. The win space were on GC the other week. Yeah, I noticed that as well. And someone in the comments, great to see you guys covering other smaller known brands. Of course they do. It's how they operate. It's their business. No, they've just changed. Things change. Things move. Nothing ever stays the same. So the original GCN stuff's pretty cool. It'd be tough working there though. Iniesta, I am good. Thank you for asking. I just caught your comment there. I'm good tonight. I'm cramming in. It's only 10 o'clock at night. I'll show you what I'm watching on the other screen. Oh, you can't really see that. That's not working too well. That's little Lama. He's sound asleep. I'm home alone. Yeah, Winspace have gone pretty hard. Sending product to all the YouTubers. It's a good time though to be a consumer of bike level stuff though. We can buy, when it's available, we can buy what the pros use. Or we can buy even better stuff than what the pros use. Tobin, was my warning not enough that Majin couldn't even drill a straight hole in those cranks for the pedals? Or was that before? You purchased it before I put that video out. That was clearly a prototype or something they sent me. I've not heard from them since though. Majin now do make a spider power meter. Have a look for the P505 or something like that. They submitted the FCC application for it the other day. Confidentiality reports all over it, but then you just go and Google the serial number. It's all over the internet. You can even purchase them on AliExpress at the moment. Let me find a link for you. But so that's now XKD, Sugai, and there's a couple of others coming along too, doing these spider-based power meters. They're a great idea, but as Shimano on a modular crankset, it limits people. P505, Majin P505 is Majin's spider-based power meter. $500 Aussie. What are the specs on this? Plus or minus 1.5. Accuracy, rechargeable 200-hour battery, Bluetooth amp plus, 0 to 2500 watts. Same. They have a Shimano, which would be similar to that of the Quark D4. They also have a SRAM 12-speed 107 BCD, be an 84107. Interesting. Sorry, nerding out on power meter stuff. The graphics card is a NVIDIA GTX 2060 in this machine. Garmin rallies a power source. Spin down during short intervals in erg is horrible. Short intervals in erg lex are always horrible. Which trainer are you using? Oh, Steve, that was Mr. Big died after a Peloton session? No, I am in Australia. We don't see this kind of crap on television for another 12 years, but I'm across that. Did those Peloton shares dump 11% because of that show? That's funny. You saw it in the news, though. I saw someone's ride on Strava, and I won't mention who it was because it was goddamn funny that they posted it. It was a Mr. Big memorial ride up the Alp on Zwift. Oh, I laughed. And I won't tell you that that was maybe someone from Zwift who posted that. Good jab. Good question. If you were a consumer like us, I am a consumer like you. I do ride this stuff. I get access to a lot of stuff, yes. That's only because I put in a shit ton of work trying to get here. I'm still just a consumer though. A little more reliable power meter like NGCO. I've not seen anything from the latest Axos that would say they're not reliable. NGCO's been fine. Not a massive fan of the battery compartment on it. But if I wanted to save myself, I mean, if you look at the price, what's the price of an NGCO versus an Axo, just the Spider? I think there's a big difference there. I was looking to buy a second NGCO and decided against it because of the price. Good statement, Patrick, about manufacturers can supply expensive things like trainers and pedal power meters, but small cheap spares are difficult to get. Possibly a volume thing. People go through chains like nothing else. People go through brake pads. So they might only have supply pushing up only a few weeks out from demand. I'm not sure. I don't have visibility of that, but that could explain it. In-peak power meters, absolutely. If you search for Gplama in-peak, you'll see my probably 2 reviews on the in-peak power meter. First of all, the initial in-peak 2 power meter, left-hand side, only Shimano based. Skip that one. If you're if you want to get up to speed on where the new one is at. I've had a horrible time with that drifting its offset. And power meters that aren't consistent take ages to diagnose. If it's just an offset that's out, like the rival Axis spindle that I had, or the original Axo, or the Axo on this bike was 3% out. Scaling up, easy done. Yeah, that's 3% out across the board. Run some numbers, cool. Up it goes or down it goes. Happy days. The in-peak was correct and then not. And then correct and then not, and then you'd zero it, and it's correct, and then you zero it, and then it's not. Schrodinger's power meter. I sent all that data back to them, and they came up. Actually, I think there was some oscillations with that too. Either way, they nailed it. They came back and updated the firmware, and all pretty good. So if you're looking at a single-sided in peak, my experience with those to date has been good. I should have had the other camera on the riser. I'm just like through the jungle here. NGK is only €490. See, in Australian dollars, that still comes out around $1,000. So I'm still looking at about twice as much. Best type of power meter, C-Row, good question. I mean, pedals are great. Pedals have been great. The P1s and P2s were great for a while there, until the Faveros came along. They're a great source of truth. Nice to have true left-right balance. I do like a spider-based power meter though. It's not to say they're any more or less accurate. I do like running light pedals and dumb pedals. And I've gone back to the M-Force 8s. If I'm just riding my gravel bike, it's the M-Force 8s, super light SPD pedals with the super light S-Works shoes wherever they are, and the tabs that I've ripped off on the back. I'll do a video about that soon. Expensive shoes to rip tabs off. And I just use the Quark on that. My starting FTP, I've got no idea what I started out with. It finished a lot higher than what it is now. Pedal power meter for travelling, yep. Cranks travel well as well. Can't go too far without a bike, on a bike without a crank. iGPS Sports, yes. I've seen them. Just be aware of those. A lot of the cheap GPS units that claim, like really cheap, I'm talking $40. I have a few of them here lined up to look into. There's just not a lot of demand though. They'll claim to have ANT Plus and Bluetooth support, but they won't support power meters or Varia radars or any additional accessory other than speed, cadence, and heart rate. A lot of them will only do the very basics. So watch for that. Supporting power meters, I guess it's expensive, and all the other peripherals. Ooh. The Giant Power Pro, based on the Shimano left-right, that was one of the better performing Shimano-based power meters left-right that I tested. Outdoors, a lot of them were okay. If I recall correctly, it was just my test protocol indoors, which still has to pass. FOMO with Des and Ray, yeah, look, I have tons of fun with those guys. We've done a lot of traveling together in the States and in Europe. I'm now a dad at home with little Lama. It's hard to get any FOMO just pissing around with technology. I mean, I love it, but there's nothing groundbreaking, let's be honest. Spending time with my little son, who's 2, wouldn't trade that for anything. So, yeah, I miss hanging out with the guys, but responsibilities change a lot. I can still do more than anything I need to do here with all the tech that I have. I don't miss the jet lag though, holy crap. I remember waking up in Atlanta, 10 points to people who can guess the company I was visiting. Waking up at 6 a.m. their time, which was 12 and a half a.m., 12:30 a.m. my body clock time, to do a workout with the crew in their lab. God no. Heaps of fun. Great experience. Time zone wise, holy jeez. Takes me about 3 days to adjust. Nailed it, wahoo. They did arrive with coffee though. That was good. I missed that travel. It's not the conversations you have in email or conversations you have about business or products or upcoming things or reviews. It's the other conversations you have. Just the randomness that gets thrown around and the ideas that come from those too is, yeah, anyway. We'll get back traveling one day. Quick link all the way. I go big quick link. Though I didn't size my eagle chain. Where are you, Coco? I'm out of. Oh, did I go out of range to go back to 1.2 multiplier? I must have. So welcome along to the stream, everybody. Anyway, a bit of a hiccup at the start. I hit go, so if you've got 2 notifications, I do apologise. I hate spamming people out with things. If I'm going live, I want to go live. I hit go live, press the main switch, and then the whole system locks up. OBS died, so we're back here. Everything's nice and smooth now. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Got to throw that in. I don't really put it in all of my videos. I kind of put it at the end. No one's watching at the end. Most people get your information early on. So if you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe. It does support the channel. Keeps the algorithm happy. Rock and roll roadie, no. Not a chance. Oh, the Aspero, absolutely loving it. I should do a yearly review or a year review. It's been a year since I got the Aspero. And you see the quality, if you see my Strava, look at the quality of the gravel that we have around here. It's unbelievable. And people are saying, you're not a roadie anymore. I'm still a cyclist. I get to test everything though without cars. It's brilliant. So all the power meters, I'll just throw them on the gravel bike. And if they can pass my tests on gravel, they're going to be fine out on the road. My day job, no. Well, I have a day job, I think. I think I do. I can pay the bills now, so we're good. It's funny, people. I think it's probably more accepting of people just creating their own jobs. So I guess the short of that is, I was in IT for years and years. My degree is in computing at uni. That was 20 years ago. All the certifications, Microsoft, Cisco, Sun, some CompTIA stuff. I'm an MCSE, if anyone knows what that is. It means I can install Windows. I worked in IT security for years as a network engineer. I think I was senior security engineer or something like whatever they called us. A lot of Linux work, firewalls and things back in the day as the cloud was emerging. And yeah, the work that I'm doing with this just took over. And I've got to admit, it's a lot more fun. Sometimes. Hey, Exchange 2000 is one of my MCSE electives. Hello, IT help desk. No, I don't answer my phone anymore. That's the best part about working for myself. I don't have someone else to do it for me. I just simply don't answer my phone. Asynchronous communication is the best. I'll call you back or I'll get back to you when I can. Not right now when I'm halfway through something. Yeah, Steve, a lot of it changed. We were doing a lot of spam fighting as well at the time. As spammers moved from raw text to images to multi-layer GIFs to... It was a really fun time. That was 2000 through to 2014. But the early 2000s, watching the spammers and their techniques move so quickly, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. If you want to nerd out with me for a sec, again, story time with Lama. So you always get sent junk URLs, and it still happens to this day. People get sent junk URLs. So 10 years back, 15 years back, the web scanners were out there to check URLs. So if you were to get an email to your company with an unknown URL, you do DNS lookups, you do how old is the domain, you do all those basic spam checks. You could also farm it off to an AV company who would scan for any malware or anything hosted on that site. That worked pretty well. Usually a lot of the time you just get sent a URL with malware. Steve, you're probably well across this. What was cool to see though, is that these companies were using GeoIP filtering in places like Australia. So if you opened a URL from Australia, it showed one thing, but if you opened the URL from another region, it would show something else. Now the other region is where those URL filters were. It's been a while since I've covered this, but I thought that was brilliant. So depending on where you were, you'd get the virus, or you'd have more chance of getting the virus or the malware because... Sorry, I'm just boring the crap out of all the bike people here. Because the URL scanners would pass it, because all they saw was a blank page or something else. That's just not even skimming the surface of the levels that they go to. It was awesome. No structure to my riding at the moment, Ralph. During the winter I was doing a lot of 5x5s just to work on my base fitness. I just need to be fit enough to test these power meters and trainers, which is to get to the Lama Lab and also the Rafa Festi 500 coming up. So a lot of structure during the winter, just 5x5s. Now it's just going out and riding my bike. Haven't gone for a comm for a while. I think the last comm I got was on those ICANN wheels. North-south. Also involved running over some horse crap and getting that all over the bike. It was disgusting. But I got the comm. Now it's just going out and enjoying those long gravel roads and just feeling healthy after it. There's something about a 2 to 3 hour ride outdoors that you recover from differently than a 2 or 3 hour ride indoors. Lots of fun. Security awareness, absolutely, Steve. The internal threat's usually the worst, and most of the time it's not even intentional. Speaking of which, I hear there's an Aussie in the UK being extradited to the US. Speaking of IT things. Oh God, let's not get political. Ali Mac, I'm all good. All good, and I'm on live stream. Can I? Oh, you want the right? I'll try and rest my elbows on the bar. There we go. If that was through the jungle. What frame do I ride? It's the Buffalo. Ah, typing. Have they been quiet on it, have they? For sure, Ali Merck. They can't hide here. I need a separate account. Says me live streaming on YouTube to everyone. Pair of SEM is interesting one. The Asiomas should connect to anything and everything over Ant Plus. Multiple connections via Ant Plus. So Zwift on a Mac, you're connecting to the Asiomas via Bluetooth, so you should be connecting to the left Asioma as the master. And the Edge should pair over Ant Plus to the ID of the left as well. Actually, it should only be advertising one Ant Plus ID. Shouldn't be an issue. Maybe ping Favero support on that one. Make sure you're on 4.7.5 firmware on both pedals. I've got a feeling we'll see a new firmware from Favero soon. Just a feeling. We'll see. Thank you, Sarasen. No, Patrick, we're fine here for the COVID stuff. Well, by fine, there's still a lot of cases and things, but no, not what you're seeing internationally. It's OBS, which did completely bust at the start of my session tonight. Wasn't happy with that. It's okay now. 0 drop frames though for an hour. 60 frames a second, that's not bad. Longest indoor ride, 412 kilometers, about 13 hours. I've never revisited that again. Opinion on open source software, its place in the cycling tech industry. Well, a lot of the cycling tech industry are using open source-ish software. Wahoo units, with the head units, I'm not sure about the watch. I'm not quite sure about the watch actually, we should look more into that. Wahoo head units are running a version of Android. Karoo 2, Karoo 1, Android based. I'm not too stressed about open source software. I'd like to see more standards though. Or do we need to be more standards? Better standards. Most reliable chest strap, Polar H10 is what you're after. Or the H9. Having said that, quite a lot of Wahoo straps down there. I'm currently running a 4Eyes Viva right now. Heart rate straps are, or monitors, people expect a lot of them. They have to operate in one of the worst environments. Always wet, always sweaty. Yuck. I think if you're getting any more than a year out of a heart rate monitor, depending on how well you treat it, you're doing pretty well. I think most of the time I get a year. If I'm using one strap full time, they seem to go off after about a year or so. I haven't used the Garmin HRM Dual. I'll say H10 due to, yeah, from my own experience. Garmin should have it nailed as well. No need to bike pack. There's so many good roads around here. I get to come home to my own bed after a great ride. So no bike packing. Not yet. One of the worst environments to be for yourself. Well, unless you've got a rectal thermometer, I guess. That's probably a worse environment than your heart rate strap. But hey, I haven't seen any ant plus butt plugs yet for that, so... Geez, that went south pretty quick. Good afternoon, Germany. Germany, I do enjoy your truck stops. You have the best truck stops. Great food. Tons of parking. And the Autobahn is just brilliant. Truck stops in Australia usually suck. Depends if it's the strap that goes or the sensor. Straps are usually replaceable. The sensors should get better and better. They usually get pretty crappy after a while. Oh, elevation. It depends on the conditions. If you're sweating salts and, you know, alien blood, they won't last very long. Oh, see, outdoors, we get to coast. I like riding a bike, but sometimes it's good not to ride just for a few seconds. Oh. All right, we're back. Where's Coco? Way up the back there. Cool. Have it again. People asking in chat there about the crap that went down over a month ago. I could have done a nice clickbait follow-up video on that with Company X responds, but... And there's a lot of YouTube money sitting on the table for me to do that, but I want to get back to bikes. That's what it's about. I want to get back to boring-ass power meters and trainers that do the same as every other trainer. It's more interesting to me. This is just an open category, so this is just jumping into the Coco Cadence bunch and rolling. Aaron, welcome along. Getting hungry. Nearly 10:30 at night. Time for a Cliff Bar. Oh, this would be invisible because of the green screen. Huh. David, I did quite a lot of reviews of lesser known items. I've got tons here from smaller companies. If it hasn't been reviewed though, do not buy it. Simple as that. Not just by me. I'm sure you got a handful. People have a handful of trusted sources. Good job, Aaron. 167. Hey, Janet. I'll go through to 11 o'clock tonight, which is still way too late for me to be running bikes, but I've got to cram it in somehow. Another half hour. Jamie, first ride on Zwift yesterday. Awesome. It's rare to find someone who hasn't ridden it yet. I've told this story before, but sit down. We have another story time with Lama. So I was about to sell my Wahoo kicker back in 2015 or 14, I can't remember, I mean early 15. I was into power meters. I had the smart trainer. I knew the potential of what the kicker could do because of where the Internet of Things was progressing towards. But there was nothing to link them together. Zwift just came along and completely changed that game entirely. So just before Zwift came along, I was about to sell the kicker and sort of step away, just go, you know what, this is... Erg mode sucks. There's nothing engaging here. We can see where things ended up 6 or 7 years later. But I still remember the first time I jumped on Zwift with the kicker and rode this, it was Jarvis Island, which, if you can keep a secret, I still have a copy of Jarvis to ride. I should live stream that one day. That'd go nuts. Anyhow, Jarvis Island, it's on an old laptop. That is backed up and will never be overwritten. And it's that wow factor. It's like, holy shit, this thing actually changes resistance. This is so cool. So I did a couple of laps. We went out for a barbecue dinner that night. And I was just thinking, this is going to change everything. If this social experience works, as it should. I came home from that dinner, jumped straight back on, did another 40 or 50 Ks. And it was that wow factor. Hopefully you got that. Felt quite realistic. So now you're jumping into a much more feature-rich version of Zwift. And there's other online platforms that do the same stuff nowadays too. So I hope if you have half as much fun as what I do, you'll enjoy it. Zwift won't change much now they have minimum PC spec limits. No. They may tweak a few things here and there. I think it will remain relatively transparent, just dropping off potatoes. It's too hard for Zwift, especially for the Windows 7 side of things, Windows 8. When Microsoft themselves don't even support that software, you can't expect application devs to support that either. The testing of that, way too hard. Function buttons up to F3 after a split second the sound is cut off. I'm not sure about the function buttons, I don't want to touch anything here. At the kicker core, maintenance wise, free hub re-greasing, I guess. There shouldn't be much to it. There's no belt tension or belt oiling or anything like that I'm aware of. Water in one bottle and some sugar mix in another. It's called Staminade here. I'm not sure if it's the same as Gatorade mix. I think it has a little bit more magnesium. Jarvis Island New Year stream. Yeah, Scrooge, I could actually broadcast up something where I go through an archway and put a flash of light and end up on Jarvis. And just, that would look cool. Let me play around with that. Every time on my live, you get a screen of coloured bars on YouTube. That's interesting. Jump onto Twitch. Twitch.tv. Search for Gplama. the quality on Twitch of these streams is phenomenally better. YouTube, it's the same stream that I'm broadcasting to both. But YouTube, grab this stream, run over it about 10 times with a truck, and then give it to everybody else to view. If you're on Twitch, you know what I'm saying. Peak Zwift was 600. I remember being on them, there were 4 or 5 people on. Peak Zwift hasn't hit 30,000 yet this year, or this season. Tuesday, 6 PM UK time is Peak Zwift every week. Last week was just over 29,000. This week was 29.3 or 29.2. GP stands for God's Pet, as in God's Pet Lama. If you listen to any podcast I've ever been on, I have to explain that. One of the first questions. Misheard song lyric from many, many, many years ago. Some kid was rocking out to some heavy metal with his headphones on his Walkman. That's how long ago it was. Might have been a Discman. He started rocking out, God's Pet Lama, God's Pet Lama, to some lyrics, and I said, hey Tyson, what's God's Pet Lama? What song is that? And he said, what? No, the words were blah blah blah. I thought there was more meaning to it. God's Pet Lama, like Dalai Lama, 1L. So about that time we needed a unique username for logging into whatever computer system it was. Gplama wasn't taken. Shortened to Lama. I don't have it on TikTok though. I've got it everywhere else, I think. Oh, don't talk about grilled cheese sandwiches right now. Shh. You're making me hungry. Gotta finish off my Cliff Bar. You see, Drunken Zombie, that shouldn't be a problem if the Garmin Solar watches worked really, really well and were standard across all of the range. You'd be like, 1%? Who cares? I'm going outside. This thing's going to charge. Unfortunately, we're not there yet, though. It'll charge quick enough. Easily over a coffee. You get at least 30%. How far is the ride? Don't say it's 100 miles. Ballarat. Thank you for the subscription. I'd pat the llama, but my arm goes out of the screen. Ballarat, far enough away to be outside of Melbourne, close enough to get to Melbourne. In about 90 minutes. Doug, it's 100% all in your head. It's a really interesting one though. I've had many people bring this up. And that is, erg mode feels like it changes as the gradient changes on Zwift. But if you do a blind test of that, turn your screen the other way, maybe just have your companion app showing the erg, and the companion app doesn't show gradient, so you're good. yeah, you'll notice it doesn't change at all. Having said that, I have had my resistance change on a trainer in erg, steady state, when I hit a gradient. It was bizarre. But it wasn't consistent, so I wouldn't call it a bug that is always taking place. Looking at the code that's sent to the trainer, so I'm eating and talking. There's Zwift log analyzers that you can see what commands are actually being sent to the trainer and when. And in erg, Zwift will simply send the erg set point to the trainer. Do try it though. Turn your screen around, have just the companion app for your workout, and let me know. It was with a lesser known trainer. Was it the Xpedo or Think Right? There was one trainer, this was a while back, a few months at least. Wasn't hitting the set point. And then when I went up a small hill, it went over the set point. But there was no command change. Not sure. Thank you, Lily White. It is way too late for Zwift. But I need the case. Festi 500 starts in 13 days. If I'm not consistent on the bike, Festi 500 is a grind. Even being able to do it outdoors and indoors, it's at least 2.5 hours a day on the bike, at least. And if you miss a day, you got to bump that up. The eTube. Here's an interesting trick. If you saw on my Insta, the M1 Mac will run iPad and iPhone apps natively and does run the eTube iPhone app. So you don't need to worry about a Mac version of the eTube software. Just load up the mobile app on an M1 and away you go. Technically unsupported, so don't try this at home. Uh, 10:39 at night. Run the vampire shift. No, I'm home alone this weekend. And I'm keeping an eye on this little guy sleeping. Oh, it's reflecting. So the little champion usually sleeps all the way through the night. He's, oh, what's that? Not quite 2.5. Hey, I'm at 2 by multiplier. That's some good discipline. Where's our Christmas sweater, Zwift? Where's our ugly Christmas sweater? That was fun last year. Also means I can't do a video telling people how to get the ugly Christmas sweater. That's more about what it's about for me. Come on, Zwift, do more things. Poke. Poke. Do I ride with the Duo Shimano Asioma? No, only when I need to. My preference is towards the standard Asioma Duo with a somewhat normal Q factor. So how old? 2 years through 3 months, 2 years, 4 months. Old enough to start parroting every word I say. He has very good manners, which just makes our heart glow. He was at Grandma and Dida's house tonight. Grandma and Grandpa's house. For dinner, and when we left, he just He's doing a little royal wave. Bye-bye, Grandma. Bye-bye, Dida. He's like, thank you for dinner. I'm just like, oh, kid, you're going to go a long way. He's awesome. But it's the reason why I'm Zwifting at nearly 11 o'clock at night. Oh, I'm getting, see, here's where Coco's like, everyone's just normally just chilling. We don't need to do 2.5 watts down here, do we? Hang on. David, you're coming to Melbourne this week. Pack your G-string, mate. It's going to be hot. And some sunscreen. I've been dumped. I'm out of the multiplier too. Ah, not fun. Look how far off the back I am. I am gone. I am gone. Holy shit. But these hills are short enough for that bunch to carry that momentum. This is some bullshit. I didn't need that. I should pay more attention. Yeah. My streams always do better when I shut up and suffer. I think my Ven top one. Billy, I'll take the bait. The ligma? What's the ligma? Yeah, getting dropped outdoors. Doesn't happen as often. There's more spatial awareness outdoors, I think, too. Just the wind, the conditions. You read other riders. I say you don't even have to look forward on Zwift to ride in the bunch. So I think you're more aware. But you're right. You snap off the back. It's panic stations. If that had been any further downhill, or that slower rise wasn't there, I'd still be chasing. Alrighty. This stream has been rock solid after a complete implosion at the start. So OBS died as soon as I went live for 16 seconds, and rather than closing it and just restarting, Restream wanted to recreate another instance and call the stream something else. It's just a horror show. So it was a minute or two for me to scramble and get everything set back up the same. So apologies again if you hear on the second notification. I was also on the Buffalo bike. Might help me on the downhills, definitely not on the uphills. Some thumbs happening. Who's in the bunch there with me? Is that Ali? Must be Ali Mac in the bunch with me. Yep, there we go. A few Zwift tips have come my way lately too, so that's all good. Always happy to do short little content on those. I've got a few that I'm building up. Some are very, very small that I'll put into a 5 tips video or something in the future. But there's always something to learn about Zwift. There's always something hidden in the next update too. What's the month? Okay, so next week we should see the mid-month update from Zwift. Awesome. Yes, road noise change, absolutely. When the bunches pass you the other direction, it's also in stereo, so you can hear the whoosh if you've got the music turned down and things. A video on the worst bikes on Zwift. Patrick, that's not bad. Let me know if the music's up too loud. I've got to have something playing, but I hate it blasting. Just turn it down a bit. That's actually a good tip though. If you want, a lot of people aren't happy with where the pace spots are for what they need to pedal at. So to jump on and use a mountain bike, actually something as simple as that, to even cut down the time it would take for me to do all the testing. Do 1 lap on a mountain bike with Coco, and then do 1 lap on the Buffalo bike, and then 1 lap on the something other bike. So a drafting bike, so you still get a bit of the bunch effect. You've still got to pedal a lot. My best Zwift top tip. Look, a lot of the stuff that I find interesting and really beneficial, nobody else likes, or it doesn't get a lot of views. Like, I love power meters and diving into all the details, but they don't get a lot of views. But view-wise, I'll tell you. At 113,000 views, connecting Bluetooth sensors to Zwift. And that was back in the day when everything was only singular Bluetooth connection. Second one is how to unlock the 100k an hour bike. Next one, how to connect your account to Strava, I think. Fourth top one, Bluetooth sensors again. Drafting other riders. And one of the faster bikes. So it's about sensor connections, which is a good indication that people have trouble with or need assistance or help with getting things hooked up. It is quite clumsy still. During the ride, not possible, I don't think. That's a script you see on the screen there. That's a PowerShell script looking at the Windows log file and adding things up. I said I was going to go through to 11. We'll go through to 2 hours. So I'll hear it 2 hours, so it's another 17 minutes, 16 minutes. The TT bike, sure, but you can't draft on that, so you won't get the benefit of the flow. You might as well just go and ride by yourself. Ride-ons during a ride. More activities. Just me. Let me switch to that. Hopefully it doesn't lock the stream up. No, it doesn't show in real time there until it saves. Yep, I agree, Scrooge. I'm happy to see prices of power meters come down and not be considered just simple junk. A lot of companies have tried really cheap power meters. Who's that pace spot up there? Is that Diesel? No, it can't be. Oh, okay, so is that Diesel, but we can't see the people around it because it's only drawing 150 riders around me. When we get closer, will we see the riders with Diesel? I think that's what's happening here. Let's have a quick look at that with another camera angle. All right. So Zwift only ever draws 100 or 150 riders on screen. I wish it was more. So it looks like Diesel is solo. There's probably riders with Diesel there. See, now they're appearing. See, they're the slower riders with Diesel in my blob. So there's probably more than 150 riders here with the bunch. It'd be nice if there was a hack where you could show at least a few hundred more on a system that can take it. So now Diesel looks alone again. Look at the size of that bunch. It's huge. Charles, all done. All done, mate. Thanks to me talking about it on YouTube. That fixed the problem. According to them, it didn't. Strange timing that though, hey? Thank you, Fat Shark. I'll be riding on for another 14 minutes or so. Saddle numbers on long Zwift rides. Ryan, if you just saw me then, that, getting out of the saddle. Having the riser on the ups and downs is handy, or the climb. That works, because it's just taking the pressure points, it's moving those around. Some people say that rocker plates help them out. There's a bit of wobble in this, so you can see that's the Dorado XR. Coco and Diesel together, yeah. Zwift prefs, no. I don't believe there's any draw distance or draw numbers for riders in Zwift prefs. Be handy if there was. I'd love, especially the massive bunches, the 3,000 strong rides we do. And now that the blob is more compressed, you sort of miss out on the true experience. So it looks like here, that's all you see. There's probably twice as many riders as that. You see them disappearing off the back there. It'd be great to have twice as many riders drawn. I mean, it looks impressive, but there's going to be more people than that. And when you're into the big events, you only see the riders near you. I want to see the riders all the way up the road. Oh, that got rocky. Disconnect my phone from Wi-Fi on the home screen companion app. You see, SK? You see? That's going to play up with things when I'm paired everything via the companion app. I have everything paired via the phone at the moment. So as soon as I disconnect that phone from Wi-Fi, all my sensors go. And this is why the phone pairing just isn't... It works. It's brilliant for what it does. It converts all your sensors over into IP, which is, I think, that's why everything should go anyway. The Kicker 5's already there. We just got to wait for support for that to come along. The Zwift. But it just adds another step of complexity. Tilt bike, no. If they can send me one over, happy to look at one. They're still 12 months out being a product, though. So I mean, look, I think we've all been burnt enough by the original smart bike hype that lasted a year and a half before we even saw one. We've been burnt by IQ Squared claiming that have a cheap power meter they never have. Well, I had a prototype or something, whatever they sent me. I'm super skeptical of any product that claims something. What we saw a couple of weeks ago from the tilt bike was just this massive PR push. But no actual, like, does it work with erg mode? Can I ride the Lama lab test? The basics. It's a true game changer. Companies need to sit on stuff, get it right, make the product. It will land exactly where it needs to land. Similar topic, look at the Favero Asioma. First 2 years of that product, I don't even think they had a social media account, not a lot of marketing. It just worked. The pedals did well. Not their first rodeo. They had the B Pros and I think the B Pro 2s before that. But the Asiomas came along, simple install, just worked, plug them in and go. People love them. So companies like the Tilt Bike, however you pronounce their name, just simply need to make something that kicks complete ass and put it out there. But I don't buy into any hype at all. I'll sing praises of stuff that works and works well, but until you can touch it and see it, I don't believe in it. It's definitely not a product worth holding your money for, waiting for it to come along. If you're looking at buying a smart trainer, go buy one. If you're looking at buying a power meter, go and buy one. Hair unit, go buy. Start using it right away. I'm hoping we see an expansion to Nyokyo with a big climb, but we'll see. David, the Uno is a solid meter. Single-sided power meters. If you dive deep enough into the forums where people discuss power meters and the validity of them and the numbers and things, huge debates and huge wars rage online about the accuracy of the numbers that a single-sided meter will give. To break it down, single-sided meters are typically accurate for what they measure. That's obviously one side. And then there's a few catches from there. So, there's chevrons on that top. Oh, let's not mention the war. They're pointing up too. About the other guy, I was going to say he's got no socks on, but he does have some socks on. That's okay. It's actually a worse crime. Sure, the Asiomas are great. Uno or Duo. I use the Uno to test other single-sided meters against. If you're left-right imbalanced, and everybody is at a certain point, either in a saddle, out of the saddle, or after 3 or 4 hours on the trails. But if you really like the Unos, you can upgrade them to the Duos later on by adding another pedal to the other side. Alrighty. We're going to finish this in the hills, are we? Damn. The Festi 500 coming up in 13 days. Anybody tackling the Festi 500? Let me know. 2 to 3%, yeah, it's probably normal-ish. Everybody's different though, and if somebody says, oh, I'm always 48-52, they're not. You can never be perfectly balanced in the saddle, out of the saddle, and as I said, at different fatigue levels, different power levels, indoors and outdoors. it changes around. That's why if you want your true power, then a total power meter like a crank, or sorry, a spider. Yep. So I've got caps lock on. Or a left-right trusted power meter will be the way to go. It takes the guesswork out. If you're thinking, oh, I'm not quite sure, get the Joule or get the spider meter. If it's something to be worried about, just buy once and solve the problem, rather than buy a half meter and always be wondering. Ryan starts with a kick of 5. Oh man, I wish I started with a kick of 5. No word from Saris. I haven't heard from Saris for probably 2 years now. So nothing known or seen there, sorry. Thanks, SK. Most popular route on Zwift? I don't know, you could probably do some snooping around Strava and find that out. I'm guessing TikTok. Or is it Tempest Fugit? Tempest Fugit. That's what Peppa Pig says. Tempest Fugit. Nice and flat, people can just jump on, get a good roll in. Power to max, absolutely, good meter. Seems to test well within the spec advertised as well. And that's really a lot of what I do. Does a product do what it says on the side of the box? And I've posted here or there, in Australia there's laws against selling things that don't actually do what they say. People in Australia will know the ACCC. They come down hard on companies. If you're selling something that says one thing, it does another. If they turn their focus on bike tech, specifically power meters or maybe smart trainers that say, hey, look, it's X or Y accurate, and they really aren't, there'd be some interesting discussions between our regulator and the sales channels. I think the cycling tech side of things is probably too small. They go after Volkswagen emissions first, don't they? Good to hear, Replica. I think I've got over 1,300 videos on YouTube now, so I don't expect people to go back and watch them all. But if you're ever searching for something, you can always put in Gplama in the search term, like Gplama erg mode, Gplama rider, anything in YouTube, you'll find my content there, and if it's content other people have watched and liked, and had decent view time on, which means it's probably good content, informative, that'll be promoted by YouTube. Good question about comparing Ultegra Di2 to Rival Axis. Two things there that I'd need to answer myself. I don't have access to the new Di2 stuff. I've asked Shimano. I'm not on their radar to get access to Di2 or the upgraded stuff of that, so I'm in line at the local bike shop waiting to spend $7,000 on a new bike that isn't around. So I can't get access to the new stuff yet. Rival Axis, I only have in one bike configuration. So not really apples for apples comparisons. Though I do know that Axis group sets are slower to change rear gears when they are configured with a 2x setup. The front derailleur adds a very small amount of delay to gear changes. So it's not just the front derailleur. If you have a dual action on your Axis or ETAP setup or configured, that dual action will add a delay into single actions too. I've got to dig more into this before I do a video on it. Has been confirmed over on their tech specs that is the case. I'm guessing that's introduced because Axis, when you go up and down, it's instant. When you got one by, it's so quick. But the last thing you want to do is if you actually have a front derailleur and you need to dual press, but you don't press it at exactly the same time, you don't want the rear derailleur to go up or down. So I think they've introduced an artificial delay. Something to dig into. I haven't seen anybody discuss that online anywhere. But it's noticeable for me going from Di2 on this bike. I'm on my good TCR tonight with Ultegra Di2, the older stuff. Changing gears on this versus changing gears on a 2x axis setup. It's a little slower on the axis stuff. Anyway, something more to dig into. That's one of the differences between the two in a 2x setup. But Jesse, the test would be if you could unassign the dual press and see if it becomes fast. Actually, if you can, just as if you've got the time, unassign your dual press, which would pretty much turn your bike into a 1x, possibly. Maybe even unpair your front derailleur. Just have the up and down flip the rear and let me know if it's equivalent. Because on my gravel bike, the ups and downs on that 1x with the Eagle is just bang on. When I put the dropper post on, it just felt a little different. I didn't have the dropper post long enough to do any testing on it though. And I don't think there's any way around that either. If that is the case, I'm sure it is the case. They've added a small delay in there so it doesn't confuse with a bit of a wonky dual press. There's no way for them to resolve that unless they give the ability to use blips or put another button on the red or force levers. I do like the Di2 up and down is just beautiful. It is nice. But I also like the simplicity of the 1x up and down on the gravel bike. We're going to go to 70Ks. It's late, and I'm never getting to sleep tonight. And I'm dropped again. Oh, now I'm at 2x multiplier too. I've got to say, the steering, that's 2 hours. That's been rock solid. Have to replace your road bike. Old one was 80/70. No, there's no cross compatibility between 8100 and 8000. 8000? Yeah, that works. 8000. No other platforms that I'm aware of other than Grand Theft Auto support steering. It's one of the questions I posed to Elite for the upcoming long-term review of this riser. The rival axis, I've had that on Von's gravel bike for the last few months. It's been fine. We have switched the rear derailleur though to the red Explore. So there's now a 44 on the back. Why am I still riding? Well, we're halfway up this KOM, let's get this. I do like the new rival levers, they're a little smaller than red. So in the hand they feel pretty nice, but they do lack the auxiliary ports. But is that a bad thing? Ooh, not necessarily. Speed doesn't make any difference on 11-speed E-Tap. Interesting. I'll only have the access stuff to check out, but I'll dig deeper into it. Spider power meter compatible with FSA Gplama, not the number I'm aware of. They're not a modular crankset, are they? If that's the crankset you're currently running and it's not a modular spider, there's options for anything. What's a Gplama? Is that a 30mm spindle? First FTP testing, you got 254, not bad. It depends on what's per kilo, so it depends on your weight too. That's a good number though. I'd almost want to do the 100k, but it's 11:15. I gotta sleep. Little Lama will be up at 6 o'clock wanting the TV switched on. He usually comes with me into the morning to grab a coffee. I'm not a morning person, ever. We used to be at 11 o'clock, 11:30 a.m. I can be up all night and sleep in during the day. But, yeah, Max has changed that a little bit. 6:30 in the morning or 6:15. Dada! But it does bring a smile to my face. I have introduced the siesta, though. It's my routine. Max goes down just after lunch. Usually I do too. Sometimes watching the cricket. MC squared, I'm well, mate. I am well. I'm better having done 2 hours on the bike tonight after putting Max down. Thought it was going to be another lazy day off the bike, but Coco, you're not getting away from me. Not this time, Coco. But yeah, pleasantly surprised with the performance of those cheaper power meters in recent times. I just wish more people were interested in power meters. I love making that content. I'm keen to get my hand on the Magine power meter. I might have to buy one. See, I'm still not getting away from Coco. It's the opposite of the effort you have to do. You've got to go easy up the hill and gas it on the down. No news yet on the kicker rollers that I can share. So as soon as I can, I'll let you know. I'm sure like a lot of Wahoo products, you'll see if and when embargo lifts, you'll see a lot of coverage of them across your standard channels, including this one. Much better than last time through here. Frank, no news officially on Direct Connect support for Zwift, which is the Ethernet port in the back of the Kicker 5. However, doing some snooping through the Zwift code using strings, the MDNS name for the Direct Connect is in the Zwift code. Has to be coming. Has to be under testing. No question. The code's there. Okay, right now I'm on Bluetooth via the companion app. Everything I've got, heart rate monitor, trainer, is via the companion app. And then punched over my Wi-Fi into Zwift here. And it has been rock solid. I don't like using this. I'd rather go direct to Windows, but this is doing the trick. We'll go to 75 case. Hold off on buying the Wahoo Direct Connect adapter until it's supported by Zwift if you're a Zwifter. Roam 2, Bolt 2. Yeah, Bolt 2 is too small. I can understand that. It's a nice little unit, though. Roam like proper navigation. The Edge 1030 Plus does very, very well at the moment. If you want the most fully featured head unit that supports, I was saying earlier in the stream, whoa, I think we just saw up someone's butt. If you want a head unit that supports cycling dynamics, recording of all your gear information, tyre whiz, pretty much anything you can throw at it as a sensor through Connect IQ, and a billion configuration options, there's really no rival to the Edge range of GPSs. Having said that, not a lot of people use the depth of the options that they have, so we're quite happy to go with what a lot of the other manufacturers offer. If you do a flow chart or a tree chart of menu options, the Garmin would be very, very deep. Bikepacking around the north coast of which country? We're at 75, but this is on the downhill section. I can't give up on the downhill. I can get at least a kilometre here for free. This is the Zwift effect kicking in. I'll definitely be wrapping this one up shortly. Though Scotland, there we go. So north coast of Australia would be different. And you'd be eaten by a crocodile. I like that kit. Is that the Kirschmeyer racing kit? Looks nice. The black and yellow really stands out. That looks good. Where is it? It's not there. You can stop any time. Hey, yeah, I saw that. Groenewegen Bike Exchange. That's a late signing, isn't it? Bike Exchange / Green Edge. They were. I didn't even think they'd be around next year, but then I saw them signing some people. I'd really, really strange to not be across exactly all the stars on that team, but that was a huge one. KC kit, where is it? Let's have a look. That looked bloody brilliant, though. I love that look. I'm probably looking in the wrong direction for someone in that kit. Up the front, more like it. Oh! Where was that kit? Let's have a closer look. I'm dropped, aren't I? I'm sure I'm dropped. Oh, here's a Swift tip. You can actually grab it and scroll that too. Though it sort of bounces back every now and then too. No, can't see it, damn. And I'm dropped. Alright, 77 case. We'll round it off. Yeah, Quebec was in the same position. It all comes... It's just a pity that... I'd rather get into a big conversation about the economics of cycling. It'd be nice if, you know, they all shared in some kind of television right profit / maybe some money from the sport, rather than rely on sponsors, which makes things super tough for people who run teams. Ewan is so small. He is such a little dude. He's quick though. Keen to see, we have the Australian National Champs here in Ballarat in 4 weeks' time, 5 weeks' time. Keen to see which Euro pros make it back home to race the National Champs. 77. We're done. We're done. We wait for the cha-ching. And we're done. 2 hours 50. Cha-ching! We're done. Let me finish off recording all this. 2 hours 15 of data. That's not bad. That was the Dorado XR. That was the Asioma Duos. And the Sugei Axo on the rotor crank. Save, save, save. I'll dive into that data before I go to bed because that's what I do. It's a pretty boring household here, actually. Done, done. And little Maxwell is still sound asleep. What a bloody brilliant night, everyone. Thank you for coming along for the chat. As I said at the start, well, once we got over that hurdle of OBS dying at the start, I can talk this stuff all night long, all day long, and I think I have for 2.5 hours there. So thank you everybody for putting up with me. Thanks for the questions that come through too. Love the randomness of the questions that come through. It's all unscripted. I got no idea what people are going to ask. I'm happy to help people out. If you have any other questions about the content that I do, best place to comment on is any of the videos I've done in the past. If you're searching up a trainer, a how-to, a Swift tip, a power meter, anything like that, if you comment on any of those videos, I'm across all of the comments. I keep across those 24/7 pretty much. That's, I think, some of the value that I add to the channel rather than just putting content out there and say people deal with it. I learn from the comments too, and that leads to even more content over weeks or months of using the same product. So no, I do appreciate it, everybody. That's why you're the valued resource here, and yeah, it keeps things ticking along. So I do appreciate it. Thanks for the company. 11:23 at night on a Saturday. Let's go see what's on telly as I cool down from this and try and get some sleep. Good luck. Have a good day, everyone, and a good weekend. See you soon.